behind Ed's head is one of my least favorite pieces of hotel artwork. And because of that artwork, I know exactly where he is. I can pick out New York City hotels by the artwork in the room, and that happens to be one of my least favorite pieces of artwork. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I hate it. I don't get it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't know why.
That's why they call it art.
Climb aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast. And now here's your host, Ed Pizza.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Mr. Kerr was being pretty punchy in pre-show. I have no idea how much of that Jeremiah will actually get into the actual show. But we're going to be talking about some new Bilt partners that we discovered, or at least I discovered, in Austin last week with Mr. Kerr, and some pretty interesting Alaska Airlines changes, which I'm really interested to get Mr. Kerr's opinions on, because I have not heard a single peep out of you yet as to what you think. And we had happy hour last night in the Slack community. A bunch of people asked us to talk about the Alaska stuff, so that's what's up on the docket, Mr. Kerr. How are you?
Do good, man. Friday is the time of recording. I'll tell you what I did yesterday. I did a lot of work yesterday. Also went down to my in-laws
Something
and got
new
the
for a
RV.
change.
Yeah, something new for a change. Actually, we just reversed spots today with you, the Hyatt Grand Central, me home. This is making me uncomfortable here. But went down to the in-laws and got the RV, and
I saw that.
Cleaned it up, man. It needed some TLC, so we're going to give some TLC here. Hoping to go camping this weekend, but my son is he's on day 8 of a
still
pretty
suffering.
nasty bout of COVID. He's actually going back to the doctor this morning because he's still. So we'll see if the camping happens. If not, then I'm going to sit out in the RV in the driveway and watch some football this weekend and make all the neighbors go, why does he have the RV in the driveway messing up my HOA? I'm going to file a complaint.
Every time I feel like he's in the clear, your son takes another bad turn.
Hopefully, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, he better be.
Yeah.
He better be better. Man, it is nasty, and I don't know. We'll see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if he's, there really are no treatments for kids right now, at least for kids his age. Paxlovid goes down to 12, but whatever gunk I've been dealing with, I never tested positive for COVID back when I started feeling crappy, but it's been a month and I'm still hacking up along. So I can only imagine what a kiddo like him who doesn't have any real medicine that he can take. It's not like you're popping Dayquil with him. How he must be feeling, poor guy.
Yeah, you'll be all right. We'll get you going. Hopefully by the time everybody's listening to this.
Kerr motto: rub a little dirt on it. Get back in the game.
Pretty much. There's no good looks and talent. It's all hustle here, baby. So you better get back in the game and try your best.
All right, well, let's do a little housekeeping, and then we'll talk new Bilt partners and Alaska Airlines. So if you want to leave us a voicemail or a text, 571-293-6659. I mentioned briefly before about our Slack community. I've had 2 meetups this week. Got to meet Nate PGH in Las Vegas across my many stops, and then May. I think you've met May before, our Disney nerd friend. Interestingly enough, she was having dinner with 3 of her friends, and she told them that she was going to come meet me after dinner, and this was before happy hour. And as she was describing to them about going to some random dude's hotel to meet him for a drink at his hotel, they're all like, "Are you having it fair?" And so they didn't actually believe. So they're like, "We're just going to come with you and make sure that this is all on the up and up." About 10 minutes after they arrived, something bad happened in the Yankees game, and I screamed out an expletive, and I went like, "Oh wait, am I allowed to do this?" And they're all like, "We're all New Yorkers. You can say whatever you need to say." Like I'm with my people, man. I'm with my people. So I was allowed to F-bomb away while I was introduced to May's friends, who after we were all done thought that I was weird, but were happy that May was able to be their travel agent. So
that's not just May's friends. That's everybody that meets us. We are rather obscure fellas, I guess is a good way to say it.
Yep. I remember fondly, and hopefully I'll get to see her next month, Maya Liebman, who used to run the American Airlines program, when I first met her back in 2012. And she looks at me after spending a day with us at Frequent Traveler University and says, "I think I figured out who you guys are. You're the ones who took apart your mom's toasters to see how they worked." I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty appropriate description of us. Yep.
Yeah. In my case, it was always the lawnmower, but yeah, also the toaster.
All right, he is at Kerr Points on all those social media channels. I am at Pizza in Motion. Ed at pizzainmotion.com for your emails, for questions, comments, all that stuff. And like I mentioned about the Slack community, you can drop a couple bucks a month if you want to support us, be a part of the show, weekly happy hours, meetups all across the globe, and questions, which is where we're going to tee up today on Alaska Airlines, because we had a couple of questions last night about Alaska. and some of the changes that are coming up. I'm curious, I'll cover a couple of the high-level pieces here. There's a lot to cover in what they want to do, but I think the first thing, without going through all the milestone rewards that they've added, they're employing a structure similar to what American Airlines did a couple of years ago with loyalty points, in that they're going to introduce some level of status earning from credit card spend, though they're capping it, something that American Airlines hasn't done. And then there are milestone rewards along the way. And just to give folks an example, that if you earned 85,000 miles, across any of the various earnings, meaning flying, credit card spending, partners like Lyft rides, stuff like that, you get to pick two of the following. You could pick 15,000 bonus miles, 25,000 miles off of an extras redemption, 2 lounge passes, 2 upgrade certificates. You could gift MVP gold status to someone, or you could get rollover miles, elite qualifying miles, which is something that Delta did away with and Alaska seems to be leaning into. There's a lot more there, but I'm curious for your first impression, Mr. Kerr, of what you think about the 2025 changes for mileage plan with Alaska Airlines.
I'm going to go 95% positive overall, and also I'm really surprised it's taken this long for another airline to do what American did, which we all thought was pretty smart. And as we all know, all these airlines make more money on everything except flying people from point A to point B. So encouraging additional partner activity where there's economics in it for the airline and the program, very smart. Having award travel count towards status, very smart. Same thing Southwest has done. Milestone rewards, I think, is just a great thing. We've even incorporated that in our day job based off of what American did a few years ago, although granted we have a lot of work to do. I think these are great. Every time I see the mileage plan program, and you and I spent time with the 3 of the leaders of Alaska Mileage Plan last week at the offsite retreat. I love working with that team. They are just fantastic. They don't think like anybody else, and you can see it in what they came out with. And they teased it last week. They said there's a lot more coming. And a few things, again, selfishly, if you pay your rent through Bilt with the Alaska Visa card, you get 3x miles per dollar. You have to pay a 3% fee, but I would say getting 3x Alaska miles is a better value than the 3% fee. That now counts towards elite status faster. So you can pay your rent, get 30,000 qualifying miles. They did specifically call out Bilt that said Bilt point transfers would not count towards the milestone rewards, at which point I looked at them and we were chatting, and I jokingly said, well, I have a good rent day idea for next year.
There you go.
But I think it's great. I really wish that Alaska has 2 flights out of Atlanta. One of which until recently, I will be honest, I did not know that you could fly nonstop to San Diego from Atlanta on Alaska Airlines.
I did not know that.
Until the last few months. That's because I was walking by a gate. They're usually down in the D gates where the low-cost carriers are. They got a couple gates down there. It always says Seattle when I walk by, and I walked by one time, it said San Diego, and I was like, which airline is using Alaska's gate? And I looked up there and saw an Alaska plane, and I was like, wait, what? I really wish I lived in a place that had more Alaska service, where I could really dive into this program. I certainly dive into it a whole lot more now just because there's no such thing as too many redeemable Alaska miles.
Yeah.
The elite status stuff and everything, man, just doesn't apply to me because I just don't have enough service. But I think it's great. I think we're going to see the other programs kind of move into this. One really nerdy thing that I will call out that is just way overdue is the multi-airline redemptions come into a single ticket. So previously you couldn't combine different partners. This winter, I'm going to allow mixing and matching on a single one-way journey, which is just, that is huge. That really brings the entire network. Like, can you imagine, for me in Atlanta, right, I go, Atlanta, Seattle to South Pacific on Air Tahiti Nui, and then from Air Tahiti Nui, I can take, Japan Airlines or, whoever. Like, I just do, there's just so many cool things with all these different mix and match partners that they have that make me really excited that this is coming, and I'm really glad that I transferred 200,000 of my Amex points over to Hawaiian to move those over to Alaska so that I'm ready when they bring this on board.
Yeah, I think there's a lot here to digest, and I'm not sure we'll even get through all of it, but you mentioned something about award flights, qualifying for status. And I think you bring up a really good point about how valuable that can be, because for most of the folks that are listening or watching us, you're earning your miles more from all of your other activities, not being on a plane. Let's just call it a spade. Like, most people don't travel as much as Richard and I do. And so it's much easier to rack up the miles using credit cards or other sorts of activities. Now, I think it's great that they're allowing, award miles to count towards status, because if you do have a handful of trips throughout the year for business, and then you have a couple of family vacations, it's now achievable, A, not only to hit some level of status, but B, to maybe hit some of these milestone benefits. And so I think there's this. I think one of the things I liked about the way American did things was, by allowing all these other partner activities, it did make it easier for like the normal person to qualify for status if that was the thing that was most important to you. Obviously that it may not be the most important thing for everyone, but it does give them that path. I thought one of the things that was interesting here was, which is sort of the opposite of what American is doing, is that if you do have lifetime status on Alaska, which is a hard thing to get, you're actually going to be ranked higher than everybody else who's spending money on the airline at that point in terms of upgrade wait lists, which I think is a nod to how Alaska feels about their own elite members. And I think it's just a very different philosophy. And to your point, when we were in Austin and listening to Brett and the other guys from Alaska talk about their program, you could hear the genuine, fondness they had for their members. I heard him talk about things like how their members love being able to redeem on partner airlines, and that they want to make sure that they can maintain that benefit for their members. It's weird to hear a program executive talk about, redeeming their currency on other airlines where it's harder for them potentially to control costs, but that's important to them. And about him wanting to see more days on the award calendar where members could see saver inventory, and that they were trying to do some things to work on that so the members could see more award inventory. I mean, those are not things we hear from heads of loyalty programs very often. And it really made me, like, as a guy who doesn't fly a lot of Alaska, to your point, I don't have a lot of flights out of Dulles. I think of San Francisco, Seattle. Oh gosh. I mean, there might be an LAX left from the Virgin America days on Alaska, but I don't have a lot of Alaska choices either. But it makes me interested in what they're offering, just because they're rolling these things out that are very customer friendly. And I just think it's going to be very rewarding for folks who live in Seattle or San Francisco, or these places where they're strongest. And to your point, folks who hold the credit card, I think there's a lot of big positives here.
Yeah, one small note on the credit card is a direct quote from Brett, who runs the mileage plan program. Is the reason that they capped it is so that they control the number of elite members there are, because people will go buck wild on the card, and then everybody has elite status. He's like, we're going to do up to a point. I'm completely on board with that, because if everybody's elite, nobody's elite.
See United Airlines.
Yeah. The second thing is the leaders of this program are saying we want things like more award availability and saver inventory and redemptions available. And they're actually doing something to make that happen, right? So just to keep it very simple for folks, in most airlines, the way that is set up is every single seat that an airline program sells with miles, they have to reimburse the airline revenue management for that seat. And there's a constant give and tug between the airline wanting redeemable seats and revenue management saying, no, we can sell this for more money. If the mileage plan program is generating more revenue, which this sets them up to do, they can now reimburse revenue management more and get more seats. So that's how it's actually going to happen here. It's not just him saying, this is what we want. It's saying, this is what we want, and this is how we're going to do it, if you kind of read between the lines of what's being said. So it's all the meat and the potatoes, not just potatoes or the meat here today. So I'm really excited about what they have. And I'm just going to let everybody know they got more coming. So, this is just kind of, they're going to roll things out as they go, and it's pretty exciting stuff.
Mr. Kerr teasing more here on the Miles to Go podcast. I'd also say, when we look at, when you talked about multi-partner awards, things like that, I think, the partner earning structure looks really great going forward, and that includes for both paid tickets and award tickets. So I think there's just so many opportunities here where they, really lean into the fact that they have a very wide partner base, and that you're going to be able to earn, very handsomely for partner activity. And that means, I think it was Gary's article where he quoted something, and I might get this wrong, but it was like, Qatar Airways, LA to the Maldives, and you could earn 15 or 20,000 elite qualifying miles if you booked an award ticket. So I mean, when you start to think about rollover miles and things like that for folks where they're helping existing elite members maintain status, a couple of award flights mixed in, and you get to those milestone tiers to help yourself get a head start on next year. It's a pretty good flywheel for folks who might want to participate in the Alaska program on an ongoing basis.
I guess my final thing to tease that we haven't talked about yet is introducing Miles for Experiences, where, again, Brett, who runs the program, calls out SPG moments as his inspiration.
Yes.
Anybody who can recreate SPG moments, I am all about it. So let's go.
Now, here's the question, and I don't know what my answer is to this either. Is this enough to make you get an Alaska credit card?
Again, because I cannot interact with the program from a flying perspective anymore, I would say no right now. But if I get to a point where I run out of redeemable miles, which I'm good right now because of the Amex to Hawaiian transfer, then I would do what I've done in the past and certainly pick up a card. So not right now, but if I need more redeemable miles, then that's obviously the fastest way to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. It's a 60,000 bonus mile offer, $99 annual fee for the Alaska Airlines Visa Signature Card. I'm probably in the same boat as you. I haven't really played in this ecosystem yet. We did apply for a Hawaiian Airlines credit card in our family, and so we'll get 70,000 Hawaiian miles, assuming we don't plan a Hawaiian vacation between now and when the programs merge and those become Alaska miles. I do think at that point I would probably get an Alaska credit card and play in this pond. I still think I'd probably stick around in the American Airlines ecosystem with loyalty points more than I would the Alaska because I have some level of status there. But that might be the wrong decision. I really probably need to sit down and look at that. I think I'm irrationally loyal to American, even though, as you well know, I very rarely fly them nowadays because of my work travel. But I mean, I don't. If I zoom out and think about it, I don't think that there are, like we talk about redeeming, I don't think that there are a ton more opportunities for me to redeem American miles for value the way I travel than there are Alaska miles, since they're almost always going to be partner redemptions. To your point, I can't rack up the miles flying them for business, but I'm not doing that on American either. So something for me to think about, I think, in 2025 and 2026.
Just got to rack up that Bilt spend and transfer over to Alaska. There you go.
We were talking about it last night on Happier, man. We're just waiting for you to roll out some of those big fat rent day bonuses. Just keep them coming, because I got a nice big Bilt balance right now.
So I've had it's actually a pretty big week here in the Kerr house as far as credit cards go. We hadn't chatted about this. We got the Chase Freedom Unlimited cashback match offer exactly a year ago.
Oh, I haven't
we've
seen
just been put every single dollar in the Kerr house on that for the last year. Mm-hmm. So 3x on everything, 6x on dining, drugstores, and we are due to get those points any time now. So that means now it's time to shift, and we got a few options of where to put all of our spend in the Kerr house. And honestly, man, it's between the Amex Blue Business Plus for 2x, since I kind of, I just flushed 200,000 to Hawaii. I would love to replenish some of that balance, even though I have a couple 100,000 left. Or honestly, Bilt, because my challenge is I need to give Mrs. Kerr one credit card and just let her have at it. Like, she just doesn't care about this world, which is hilarious, being married to me. We played the game for many years of change the card. She didn't do it. She's just like, I have 800 other things to do. I'm like, that's fine. Here's the card. So is she going to put all the household spend for 1x on Bilt or 2x on Amex? And everybody's like, oh, duh, 2x on Amex. Dude, I just don't know. Amex does not give me United, Hyatt, or Alaska. And am I willing to sacrifice 2x for a blended, 2x travel, 3x dining on the Bilt card? Probably overall a blended 1.2, 1.3 on everyday spend for Bilt rather than 2x Amex, so that I get access to those partners. Trying to take my day job hat off, I think there's an argument to be made there. Plus, I'm a little bit of a cheater, and I know what's coming. So, am I?
That is cheating.
Am I willing to put all of my spend on Bilt right now? I think I'm just going to hand her the Bilt card and be like, look, just rack it up. And maybe some big purchases will go on the Amex Blue Business Plus for 2x, but I think that's where we're at now that the Chase Freedom Unlimited offer is done. But I'm really excited to see. I think we're roughly in the neighborhood of 175,000 Chase points should be deposited any day now for the last year. So I'm excited to see that hit the account.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again here on the Miles to Go podcast, we are getting breadcrumbs from Mr. Kerr that it's definitely worth your while to be thinking about the Bilt credit card for 2025. And I will tell you, I am mere hours away from requalifying for platinum status on Bilt, and I'm looking forward to next year. I don't think we did as well on Chase Freedom. I'll admit that essentially what I did all year long was just pay my wife's balance every month and move on. So I didn't really think much about how much she put on there. But I'll be interested to see. I know our buddy Howie talked about how he's got a whole bunch coming his way from this spending as well. So I'll be interested to see. I think you got me beat by a pretty healthy margin in terms of how many bonus points we'll be posting to the account. But it was a great promo from Chase Freedom. She loved having one card,
Exactly,
so much
man.
so that when...
That was so the key. It's literally every single dollar, every single bill, everything on one card, knowing I'm getting 3x. It was fantastic for the year. I'm sad it's over.
So much so that that led to a small problem last week, and this is just a great podcast segue because you have no idea where I'm going, but you'll figure it out really, really quickly. So thankfully, thanks to Mr. Kerr, I did not have to go through one of the most painful exercises somebody in the points and miles world can go through, which is trying to replace all of the credit cards in my wallet.
Exactly where this was going. Yeah.
This has been a hellacious couple of weeks. I'm racking up miles like crazy flying, but I haven't been home very much at all. And once again, after coming home from the Bilt thing and being home for like 26 hours, I will be home for 26 hours again this weekend, leaving again on Sunday to fly to Minnesota. But
it's Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a work thing, a Five Guys thing. And then South Dakota, if you can believe that. So anyway, I got off the plane after coming home from the Bilt event and realized I didn't have my wallet. And it was like, oh, gosh. And I went to United and asked them to check lost and found. And they went to the plane, couldn't find the wallet. And I'm just, at that point, I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to have to replace all my credit cards. Somehow, dumb luck, I had my driver's license in my pocket. It was not back in my wallet. So I had my driver's license. I had my passport anyway when I travel, but had my driver's license. Okay, now what do I do? And I'm texting in the group thread. Somebody said something. I don't remember what it was. And I made just a snarky comment about, yup, and if you see my wallet lying around the airport, let me know. And Kerr says, I'm still at Austin Airport. Would you like me to go look for it? And it's like, okay, like this is very promising. And you were dark for a little bit on the text thread, and so I'm starting to wonder, like, did he get lost? Did he get arrested? TSA throw him to the ground and frisk him? Like, what's going on here?
Did Kirk get lost in the Austin airport? That'd be a great story.
and you learned that there's a magic number at Austin Airport for the number of different lost and found departments there are, Mr. Kerr. And how many lost and found departments are there at Austin Airport?
There are 3 lost and found organizations at the Austin airport, so it took me a little bit of time to sort out what needed to go where.
It would have never occurred to me that there would have been 3. You did lose a bet. You said that there was no way that anybody from TSA lost and found would pick up at the first phone number, and somebody picked up right away. And
that's right. I owe you $10. I forgot. I Venmo that to you. I forgot about it.
Yep. Immediately disregarded my request and said, no, nobody turned anything in. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is going to go exactly as planned.
Okay, and that's even worse than not even answering the phone, just disregarding you.
Yeah. Yes. So then I called the Austin airport, lost and found, and she says, well, what's your name? I said, Pizzarella. And she goes, yep, I have your wallet here. And I was just sort of expecting that she was going to ask me a bunch of questions and fill out a form and stuff. And so when she said, yeah, I'm holding your wallet, and it's like, what? And I keep a folded up $100 bill tucked under the billfold because it's like a magnetic billfold with, by the way, a Yankees logo on it. So thank you for helping save the Yankees wallet that my son gave me. And she's like, yeah, the $100 bill is even still underneath the billfold. I'm like, what? Like somebody turned in my wallet and didn't take the $100 finder's fee? So yeah.
I paid my bet live. I paid my debts. You have $10.
Yes, you did. There it is. TSA answered the phone. Very nice. Thank you. So anyway, wallet is back at home. As luck would have it, I have a couple of cards saved in Apple Wallet, and I had just gotten a new ink card for the Five Guys restaurants. So since this was a Five Guys week, I was able to take one physical credit card with me for things that I could not tap into, and my driver's license, and my wallet should be home when I get home. So thank you, Mr. Kerr.
I don't really know how much I actually helped, except to say, hey, you got to call the city of Austin lost and found, TSA lost and found, and the airline lost and found.
There's literally, maybe not zero, but there is as close to zero chance as humanly possible that I was going to figure out that there were 3 lost and founds at the Austin airport. So I had at best a 1 in 3 shot of finding it. So thank you for that. And let's finish up before I got to run out the door and go to a meeting. Let's finish up and talk about some of the rest of what was a pretty awesome week in Austin. So I got to meet folks from the Accor program, got to connect with Inez from TAP Portugal, who's come and rated the Freddie Awards for a stack of trophies the last couple of years. We also have folks there from Alaska, as you talked about, and your buddy Ben Lipsy from Air France. It was a pretty action-packed week as far as talking with partners, and then a bunch of new announcements for Bilt Transfer Partners.
Yeah, it was really great to have partners participate in kind of our annual media event that we do for the loyalty and credit world. Hyatt Regency Lost Pines, love it. This is my second visit there. The only thing they need to fix is some hot water. They need to get sorted out. Otherwise, I really love that property. I picked it specifically because there's so much to do. We got to do shotgun shooting with the Olympic gold medalist from Paris. Vincent Hancock came out, a fellow Georgian, who was just a super awesome guy. And it was great, man. But two of the things we announced there were TAP Portugal coming on as a transfer partner, along with Core All. And a couple things about these programs. One, I saw Inez win 7 awards at the Freddy's, and I was like, okay, this is a program that I need to pay attention to because they won almost everything for the entire European region.
Yes, they did.
They also have brand new airplanes flying between Portugal and the United States. They look like some of the best transatlantic products. You can start flying transatlantic to Portugal for 20,000 Bilt points in economy. Very low fuel surcharges on their own metal, something I'm very interested in. And it's a hungry program, and I'm always after partners who are ready to make moves and not just sit on their laurels and, go for the status quo. So love Inez, really appreciate her flying all the way from Portugal to Austin for 2 nights and then all the way back in economy because her business upgrades on staff travel did not clear. So thank you, Inez, for doing that. It was awesome. She sent me a message afterward that she enjoyed hanging out with everybody. And then Accor. I wrote up I'm trying to do this just to be and served as well. Every time we make a travel announcement, at least for Bilt, I put a post up in the Bilt Rewards subreddit just to kind of explain why we do stuff to people. So you can go read my rather lengthy couple paragraphs there about why we added each tap in Accor. For Accor, you and I know this is traditionally a program that is a fixed value, so that there's a gap of aspirational value there that you can achieve. However, everybody else, City and Capital One, have them at 2-1. We wanted to beat that, so there's 3-2 for us. Every point is worth 2 euro cents each, which is a little bit more USD when you do the translation. Dude, they just have too many good hotels that we don't have access to ignore.
Yeah.
Not too many here in North America except for Fairmont, which I know you're a huge fan of forever. Huge. I've stayed at only once, but it's the 2 Banff properties are at the top of Mrs. Kerr's list. You guys have heard me talk about for 2 years. I should probably just take her, and now I can do that on Bilt points. But once you get overseas, the Sofotels, the Pullmans, the Raffles, the Novotels, these are really, really nice properties all over the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. And you can't access them a lot of the time because they are expensive. If you can subsidize these with Bilt points worth basically 1.5 cents each after you do the conversion at 3-2, everybody here would set a floor of Bilt points, if you're listening to this, probably at 1.5 cents. So my question is, why not 1.5 cents towards the core hotels and get really awesome stays? So if you're not familiar with that program, they have 55 brands. If you can name all 55 brands, I will personally send you a check for $20, but no cheating. You can't study before. You got to do it right now. And they have things like the Orient Express, which is a luxury train that's also about to have a ship that you can subsidize with Bilt points at 1.5 cents each. Look, man, everybody else is happy to pay a $550 annual fee for the CSR so they can redeem at 1.5 cents each. You can do that now through Accor and Bilt for no annual fee. Like, you don't need to pay $550 for a Chase Sapphire Reserve to get that kind of value. So I think there's a lot of groupthink in the space about Accor, and I would argue at 2-1, probably not worth it. At 3-2, again, setting a floor of basically 1.5 cents per point to get some of these stays at what are just foundationally fantastic hotels. I would encourage everybody to take a look at it.
Encourage, be Enkerr. The thing I think about Accor, as you said, like, I think when I look at the rates for the Fairmonts in the U.S., I would say I'd be hard-pressed to want to use for that. I think I'd probably hunt more for some of the deals that Fairmont has periodically around the seasons and stuff like that. But to your point, I think the big thing about Accor is it really opens up the map in Europe. And this is akin to like the SLH partnership with Hilton or the Mr. and Mrs. Smith partnership with Hyatt. It takes traditional loyalty points and allows you to be able to stay in every nook and cranny all over Europe. And I think that's the upside of a program like Accor. You know, from the Freddie Award side of things, their members are very fond of the program, great customer service, that they consistently win awards in the Freddies every single year. So while, to your point, I do love the Fairmont properties, I think if I was going to use Accor points for value, it would be at those European hotels. And I do think there are some really great values over in Europe. I also, as you well know, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I think you're the same. I'm not a purist on how much a point is worth. It's all about putting a trip together. Just like our recent Japan trip, there were some things that we saved a bunch of money on, which gave us the liberty to be a little bit more flexible on what we redeemed for something else. It's all a blend. And so if you find some great airline tickets on TAP Portugal, which has some phenomenal deals, then using your Accor points in quote-unquote not the most efficient way possible to get yourself a great hotel stay in Europe, that's a great vacation overall. And so the total value of what your trip is, could be great. And last thing I'll say about the Bilt partnerships, in talking with Inez about TAP, TAP has a great feature on their paid tickets right now where you can get a free stopover on your award flight. So you can, fold in 2 great destinations in Europe. So you can go, stop in Lisbon for a few days and then go to Zurich and then, come back through Porto on the way back. And that's all included in one ticket. She said that's really high on their priority list to do for award flights as well. And so, not on the very near-term horizon because they have some IT challenges to do it, but man, what a great value that would be for TAP if they rolled out award stopovers as part of that program. That would be just super, super awesome.
Yeah, if you can catch a ride in business class on their new, I think it's the A321neo.
Love it. The crown seat. The throne seat.
Just like the throne seat. Yeah, you do the throne seat and catch a really great ride over to Europe. So excited to add these partners and continue added value to the day job.
Yeah. All right. Well, there was one more question from the Slack group, but I am officially out of time. So next week, placeholder, keep us honest, people. We're going to answer the question about my Aeroplan credit card. So we'll leave that placeholder there. We'll leave Richard in suspense, Mr. Kerr, like right on the edge of your seat. I can see it.
I can see where that topic is going.
What do you got scheduled for travel, man? Are you home for another week? Can't be.
It is, and that is very much on purpose because it is Thomas's birthday this week.
Wow.
So I'm obviously going to be here for that. His birthday is on Wednesday, actually, the day this episode comes out. There might be a chance I have to be in New York Thursday and Friday. To be determined, man. But as I said at the beginning of this year, failed miserably the first 8 months of the year, but now I have to take some time off the road, and I'm doing my absolute best to make that happen.
I am doing my absolute best to make it happen too, and failing miserably, as by the time this episode comes out, I will have already been home from New York, back to Minnesota, back home, and be packed and ready to go to South Dakota before coming home and doing another New York trip, then coming down to Florida to babysit your kids, then home, and then likely to Europe. So, yeah.
Too much, man. Too much. I'm
way too much, but
can't do that.
Well, if you're too old, what the heck am I? All right, I'm late for a meeting. I got to go, and I'm, your favorite hotel art behind me. So, great stuff. I'm glad I could show this to you and give you that warm feeling of comfort of being back in your adopted favorite home city of New York.
I have great hotel. Well, great hotel.
Solid hotel. Good team.
Artwork.
Yes.
Solid hotel and acceptable artwork.
Great customer service here in the greatest city in the country. So, Mr. Kerr, I hope you have an incredible week at home. I hope your son starts feeling better. I have absolutely no vote one way or another as to whether you camp or not, because you know how I feel about camping. But I do hope it's a great week for you, and I hope it's a great birthday for your son. Until we upload again, we've got miles to go. After we were all done, thought that I was weird